The road to Ironman, it's so long, it's heartbreaking, it's soul destroying. Everything that you put yourself through, you'll never be the same from when you start your journey to when you cross the finish line of an Ironman. To search inside yourself to find the ability to finish an Ironman, you'll be amazed at the person you are actually, and the person you'll become.
This was one of the biggest challenges of my life, to qualify for the World Championships in Las Vegas. I have 2 chances to do it, in Austria 70.3 and in Wimbledon 70.3. I wouldn't really say that other triathletes inspire me as such. What they do is brilliant, but at the same time I'm quite inspired by people that have done things selflessly in their lives. I do want to get to the World Championships for my own reasons, but what I think is important is that your own reasons are for a greater good. I want to get to the World Championships so I can then promote on my tri-suit the non-profit film Transmission 610, because that's about genocide in China and lack of human rights, and it's something that I think about a lot and we know very little about in the West because we have such good human rights. I'm working on a farm with horses. I have 2 little dogs and my own horse, Huggy. The 2 dogs are called Muffin and Foxy, and it's really lovely to be able to train in the countryside. It's a nice atmosphere to be in because I have the gym quite close, I have my coach close to train us and keep his eye on what I'm doing.
My first impression of Marc was one of perhaps a very shy individual, but also one very focused. It's a long journey, it's hard, it's not easy. If it was easy, we'd all be doing it. Marc's focus and his drive and humility will hold him in great stead.
The first thing that went through my mind when I heard that Marc had signed up to this Ironman was, he's crazy. Growing up with Marc was a challenge. Marc was always the kid who would get himself into a fight at school. You could always find somebody who disliked him. You'd always be referred to as Marc's brother. Are you Marc's brother? We lived in a typical countryside type village where all the teenagers had very little to do and there was very little to entertain them, so as many youngsters do, Marc fell into that trap and got himself caught into a bit of a cycle where he didn't know how he was going to get out of that. And I think it all came together when he then ended up finding himself in a police cell.
I remember in my youth getting involved in a fight at a cider festival and being quite drunk and ending up in a prison cell that evening, and I remember feeling really ashamed with myself, and so ashamed that I actually prayed to God for forgiveness and help to do something better with my life. It really changed things around for me, that self-reflection that night.
It was January 15, 2005. One of the guys who I worked with turned around and said that 2 kids had died in a crash. And then one of the waitresses mentions to me, "They're your brother's friends, aren't they? Do you think your brother could have been there?" And then during the last few hours of work we started to hear, no, it wasn't just two people, there might have been a 3rd person in that car as well.
3 of my friends tragically dying in a car accident, and I remember not knowing what to do at the time.
It hit home how close to a situation he really was, and the fact that he was lucky that he wasn't in that car, because by the sounds of it he quite easily could have been.
And I decided what I would do was set myself a big challenge to raise money for a memorial for my friends, and the challenge was to run a half marathon in the Forest of Dean from Mitcheldean, where I lived, to Bream. At that time it was one of the biggest challenges because I wasn't very fit and I'd never run that kind of distance before. However, I did feel very determined that I was going to do it because of the reasons that I was running. Before the run to Bream, I was in a really low point, and the only thing driving me was the fact that I felt that my 3 friends were looking down on me, and that the money that would be raised would raise enough money to go towards a memorial, so they would be remembered for years to come. That's what kept my determination up.
I could really start to realise that what other people saw wasn't actually what Marc was. They actually wanted to get involved to make right to the world.
Well, after I finished it, I thought I need to start doing something positive with my life, and I wanted to start training to become an athlete.